Okay. During the questions and answers session, feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions directly, or you can type the questions in the chat box. I will be monitoring them. Let's begin with the session by introducing the graduate program director for the scriptwriting and story design, FMA, Michael Kutash. Michael, over to you. So I'm going to get the PowerPoint first.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. I hope you can hear me. And I think I see some people from when we were together last week at the General Graduate Fair. We had just a few minutes at that point, and it's nice to see people back from there, and also some new faces as well. In a way, you're all new faces to me because I've met one or two of you before, but not in person. So yeah, here we are virtually, and thank you, Elaine, for organizing all of this. I apologize if you hear some banging in the background, but there's a renovation in my house going on right above me. So if you hear screaming and pounding, it's all normal. We're not trying to create the drama. We'll save that for the script. So I'd like to, first of all, recognize the land that we're on. We have a land acknowledgement that we'd like that we read before we begin any type of session, classes or meetings or otherwise, to acknowledge the land that we are privileged to be on. And in the last several years in particular, it's become much more in the public discussion about the lands that we occupy. And I think that's an incredibly positive development. It makes us reflect on the past and what we're doing right now, and hopefully moving towards a better future with our Indigenous peoples and others who we share the land and resources with. We're very privileged to be in this territory. And one of the things that's come out of our discussions in this realm are the fact that we're going to change the name of Ryerson. You probably read that in the press. I'll use the term Ryerson sometimes because I'm so used to it, but the term that we're using now amongst us is X University, for lack of a better name. We're going to come up with one in the next little while. Not sure when, but that's a very positive decision, and I support it fully. So I'd like to acknowledge our land that we're on today. And Ryerson has campuses all over the place, and we are also from different places as we're on this Zoom call. So, but where I am particularly, and where the school is particularly, is in Toronto, and it's in the Dish with One Spoon territory. And this territory, the Dish with One Spoon, is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. And that is our attitude going forward. And I welcome you to the session and where we are conducting it. So so welcome. My name is Michael Kutanch. A little bit of background on me. I've been full-time at Ryerson since 2003. Hard to believe. It's been over 18 years. And I was actually a student in this program in the early 1990s in the what used to be called the Radio and Television Arts program. It's now called the RTA School of Media, which I am currently based in, and I teach in that program. I'm an assistant professor. My focus is, believe it or not, in script writing, if you can imagine. And my past before becoming a professor was I worked at a company called Alliance Communications Corporation, which you probably don't remember, but some of you might. They are no longer, but you might see the name Alliance on the odd film in the theaters, or when we get back to theaters more fully. It looks more like an Alcan logo. So I was with Alliance Communications Corporation for many years as a script development executive. Worked with many incredible people over many, many years and enjoyed it thoroughly. And then I moved on to the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, where I was an executive in charge of production, which means script development. Again, even though it's production, we dealt in everything, but it was mostly in developing scripts for the screen. I also programmed Canada's short film showcase called Canadian Reflections. I also programmed Cinema Canada for the CBC as well, programmed those shows over my time there. And I've been teaching part-time at Ryerson since 1999 and full-time since 2003. And there you go. that's a little bit about me. I also script edit. I write on the side. I do film fun juries and things like that. And I enjoy my job immensely. So I'm very fortunate to be here. So here's where everything sort of sits in terms of our location of the MFA, Master of Fine Arts. You've got the Creative School, which is a brand new name. The paint's still wet on it. We used to be called FCAD, Faculty of Communication and Design. And now we're called the Creative School. And that really says a lot more about us than the previous name, even though the previous name was fine. We are the Creative School, and we are a hub of creativity. And we'll talk about that in a short minute or two. So the three schools that are involved in the MFA that you're interested in, the MFA in Scriptwriting and Story Design, are the RTA School of Media, the School of Image Arts, which is also known as the Film School and also Photography, and the School of Performance, which used to be known as the Theater School. So all three of us developed this program, and it's been an incredibly fruitful experience working with my colleagues in those areas. I may be the graduate program director, the person you're seeing today, but there are many other people behind me who have been working on this program, developing this program for many years. And I'm the graduate program director now, but we call on their expertise throughout the process almost on a weekly basis. So so there we are, the Scriptwriting MFA graduate program. We are a product of all three schools, and we are within something called the Yates School of Graduate Studies. And Ryerson has really increased its number of graduate programs in the last 20 years, 45 master's programs now, 20 PhD programs, which is astounding for a school that was called a Polytechnic Institute as recently as 1990. So we have not been in the university sphere for very long, but we're in it fully, completely. So yeah, that's where we are. Just to give you a sense of, where you're at. This is where if you get into the program, you're going to live in terms of the academic structure. So with the Creative School, it's the dean for the school his name is Charles Falzon. He's a friend and a colleague, and he was in the media industry for many, many years. He ran a company called Catalyst Entertainment, which was the third or fourth largest production company in Canada at the time. He is a very profession-based person. He's an academic as well, and he's an incredible visionary, as well as a hands-on manager and general around human being. And he is the head of us, but he relies on all of us to get to work these key messages that we've come up with our school. And these are them. We like to sort of make sure we stay focused on what we're doing with these messages because they keep us grounded, they keep us focused. This school, the Creative School, is so dynamic. I mean, we're making a difference in new and often unexplored ways. We've got innovators in every place and every nook and cranny of this institution. And for us, that's what a university means. The legacy of a university in the past might have been a place of higher learning. Fine. We're a place of higher learning combined with get it done kind of professionalism. So that's our Polytechnic past, meeting our academic present and forging new ways to do things. We have some of Canada's top professional schools and transdisciplinary hubs in media and communication and design and cultural industries. We offer students an unparalleled global experience in the heart of downtown Toronto, and there's no better place for us to be, Canada, first of all, but also right in Toronto, which is one of the largest media production centers in the world. So we are about making a difference in new and unexplored ways, as I said, and the word creative really applies to us because it means so many different things in so many different disciplines. We've got the School of Fashion, Professional Communication. We've got design schools, graphic arts, RTA, theater, film. To us, it's about new ways of thinking, though, making and doing. And it's been several decades that we've actually come to this point. And to have such rich diversity in schools, there are 9 schools in the Creative School, nine schools in the Creative School, even though I'm using the word school twice. The Creative School is actually the faculty, the big part of it, and we're all part of that, these 9 schools. And the way that we're moving forward with our professional depth and transdisciplinary advantage is because that's our second key message, is that we're drawing on each other's strengths and making the Creative School a real heart of innovation and learning and driving new insights. We're looking at today's problems. I mean, we get approached by companies who are on the cutting edge of creating not just media, but fashion and technology. And they want to come to us because they don't know what's going to happen next. Things are changing so rapidly in these spheres. they want to collaborate with us because we have a lot of great brains around the table, a lot of incredible student body and faculty and research projects that help them out. It's a skill and a mindset that's needed across all sectors as industries continue to evolve, and our social priorities are recalibrated. That's a big part of that too. I mean, we are a very diverse university in terms of our student body. I think our faculty diversity needs to catch up with that. But being in Toronto, one of the great benefits of that is that our student body is quite diverse, and that's one of our strengths. In terms of the transdisciplinary nature of it, thinking and learning, we're global. We're global. Everyone's global now. There's no more silos. There's no more you're in Canada and you're working in Canada, period. Everything you do can be globalized at this point, and we want to really reflect that in combining all of our different strengths to meet these global challenges. There's multifaceted problems, and they require an interdisciplinary solutions with creativity at their center. That's really what we do. We have the freedom to do that. We have funding from the government often to do that. We have grants to do that, and we have the right place to do it. Also, one of our key messages is public engagement. Creativity is about being connected with the tastes and needs and aspirations of society. And that changes on a continual basis now more than ever, as I'm sure you know. The Creative School is focused on audiences and user experience design, providing meaningful engagement and value to each person and the community as a whole. What does that mean? Well, people have choices these days as to what they want to ingest and what they want to look at and what they want to consider, read, screen, wear, and otherwise. And we want to make sure that their needs are being met and their voices are being heard, really, is what that actually means at the end of the day. And script writing and story design program is perfect for this because one of our main goals is to amplify and nurture voices and creative voices. We're Canadian and we're global. That's another key message. We're based here in Toronto, but we have a global perspective and scope. We just opened a campus in Cairo. First of all, we have connections with schools in Italy, a base in Italy. We also have partnerships with schools all around the world, Great Britain, France, Australia, everywhere, really. And it's getting better and better all the time because we think outside of our box, and we've had to. And I'd say about 70% of the people who are going to teach you, maybe more, have worked in the field that they're teaching. So we all are very comfortable in looking beyond our own backyards, not just for work, but for creative inspiration. So the last one is our professional scholarship. We're a fairly new university, as I said before, even though we're approaching 35 years as being a university, which seems kind of staggering to me, but that's not a long time to be in this realm. But we have incredible networks, professional relationships, certainly, and also faculty that are focused on deep dives into learning and grounded in prolific innovation and critical thinking. We brought in some people who want to be here because we're so dynamic and because we're very hands-on with our professional scholarship. That's really how we look at it. Scholarship is important, and researching, writing papers, publishing, and bringing that into the classroom is vital, but we combine that also with hands-on approaches to doing things, as you'll see in this MFA. The MFA in media production, the MFA in script writing and story design, you are going to do what you learn. You're going to write, and you're going to meet people, and you're going to have professional experiential scholarship. So that's the key messages, and that's how we fit into the larger creative school. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. So here I'd like to introduce our incredible graduate program administrator, Elaine. She will introduce herself in a moment, and also Daniel Garcia, who is on hand and listening, who is it says manager graduate programs and administration, but I like to call him the guy who can answer any question that I have. And he'll be that for you as well if you get into the program. So I'll just pass it over to them to say hello.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. That's actually great. Very correct. So I totally agree with what you are just mentioned about Daniel. Hi, everyone. I'm Nini Lee. I'm the graduate program administrator for the Scriptwriting and Story Design FMA. And I'm also the GPA for the Fashion MA program. I work very closely with the students throughout their graduate studies, and also work very closely with Michael and the Daniel, the manager of administration, and also the faculty community, providing support to students and facilitate programming. Overall, I'm the first point of contact for graduate students and an information hub as well. Very nice to meet everyone today. I see some familiar faces that some of you joined the Creative School information session that was hosted by Daniel back then. Daniel Garcia is the manager for administration for the graduate school. We are a team of 5 people, and we manage about 10 graduate programs, and that including graduate program and also the PhD programs. We have about, I think, 300 students each cohort, each academic year, a very small team. I cannot say thank you enough for Daniel and Michael. This is a first cohort for script writing. I'm very excited, and we have a number of very good students. If there are any questions that I cannot answer you, or I don't have any answer for you, the first person I would reach out is Daniel or Michael. So there you go. Later, Daniel will be joining us for questions and answers. So we are going directly to the question and answer right now, Michael, if you like to. So feel free to type your questions in the chat box or just unmute yourself, ask questions directly, and we will go from there.
Okay. So, looking at the chat here. So this is really the format of this. I mean, you've got an introduction. So, oh, sorry, was there a question here? I'm talking to someone might actually have a question. In the chat. So anyone have anything? Just, oh, I see Dorcas. Nice to see you again. Question?
Yeah, hi. Okay, I feel like I've exhausted like asking questions, but this just came to mind. So besides the requirements that you like have on your website and those you've mentioned like in the different like webinars, what would you expect from a student that's coming on this course? Like what kind of like, what knowledge do you feel like this person should already have? Because I feel like certain degrees, right, they don't usually, and this is a master's degree, so I don't think you would generally like start from scratch for every single thing. So like what knowledge or background knowledge would you like a student to have before they come on the course?
From your question, I think I think that you're asking me what what background, and there's a couple of different answers to that. Well, not answers, but there's a couple of different ways you can come into the program with the types of skills that we're looking for. One is with an undergraduate degree in a related field. If you took a program like RTA or Image Arts or something at York or or comparable university around the world or in Canada that dealt with media and maybe in particular some script writing as well. Not entirely focused on that because we're one of the few programs that's entirely focused on that. But I would even say an English degree, things like that. Something that's about storytelling has part of its as a main focus. So that's one way to have. So an undergraduate degree in a related area.
That's not my question. Sorry. That's not my question.
The second part is like I can certainly hear you. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, okay. I thought I was going to give you a broader look at, but go ahead. What's the specific question?
Yeah, I mean, you've answered this. The answer you're giving me now, like you've given me this before, like before today. Sure. But the question I'm asking is, besides all of this, right? When a student, let's say I get the offer to study this degree, and I'm on the course, like what? Yes. So like, what would you want? Like, what would you expect a student to like have? What knowledge would you like them to have, such that when you're teaching, they understand what you're saying, or they wouldn't have to do like excessive reading to understand what you're saying?
Okay, so that's part of what I just said. But so once a student is in the program, um, then that's the biggest hurdle right there. We wouldn't admit somebody in unless we thought that they would understand what we're talking about from day one. So if you, let's say you get into the program and we start talking about scenes, we start talking about structure of scripts, you start talking about screenplay form, you start talking about stage plays, what they are, you'll need to know what they are. I mean, that's a very basic answer to your question, but we're looking for a student who's at a level where we don't have to explain what the basics are of writing a script for stage, screen, or television.
All right, thank you.
And we've got some students who don't have in the current cohort, we don't have, most students have written scripts. In fact, all of them have written scripts of some kind to get in. That's how we can tell if they're going to be successful. So if that helps at all. So if you come in and you've got your application, and if it's successful, that means the reviewers who looked at it, several of us look at each application, have said, yes, this person is going to be fine starting in September of the first year. And in that year, the first year of our program, we do a foundational type course called Elements of Scripted Storytelling and Design, where we actually go through all the elements and make sure everyone is at the same level. That's our first kind of course. So we know that everyone is on the same page, no pun intended. So I've got a couple questions here in the chat. Will the recording of this session be posted? I don't know. Elaine, is this recording be posted somewhere? The whole thing?
So yes, so
Okay.
ideally the recording will be posted on our website just to update the past information session. So that will be posted. Yes, that's the answer.
Thank you. And Jazine asks, who should the letters of recommendation be addressed to? No one in particular. You could say to whom it may concern, but I often, when I ever do something like that, I'll say to the selection committee. So at the top, you'll say, you'll have our address, like in the top left, you'll say, MFA in script writing and story design, X University or Ryerson, whichever you choose, our address, and then the address would be to the selection committee. That's how I like to do it. All right. Any other thoughts, questions, anything at all?
I have a quick question.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. I was just wondering, are you able to specialize at any point in film or TV? Are you kind of working on both simultaneously?
The answer is yes to both. How do you like that?
Okay, cool.
You're gonna be getting into you're gonna be getting into film, television, stage, but also other platforms like gaming and things like that, because we have professors with specialties in those areas as well, who may not teach the course entirely, but they'll come in and do a unit on game design or something like that, story and game design. But in your major project, which you will write over a year and a half in this program or so, you can pick one of those disciplines to write in.
Okay.
And that said, like there will be times for specific focus specifically on a few of those things. Even in the course I'm teaching, it's 12 weeks long. Every week we'll have examples, if we can, from every one of those three main disciplines: stage, screen, stage, film, and television. But often with an MFA, there's a lot of student collaboration. So you'll say to the students, what do you want to do a presentation on? And the student can pick a discipline that they're interested in and do that, if that helps.
Yeah, I just have one more question.
Sure.
Kind of going off of that collaboration aspect, are there any like courses or opportunities that kind of offer like an experience of what it's like working in a writer's room or something like that?
Yes. I mean, working on the same script as a large project, no.
Okay.
I'm saying no, this is the first time we've run the course. So
Yeah.
I'm saying I haven't encountered it yet. How about that?
Okay.
There are times in each course where you can work with each other on smaller projects. Like let's say in my course, you're doing a sequence of scenes. You want to co-write with somebody else. That's just certainly something to do. If you're doing your major project, it's going to be you and you alone are going to be the sole author of that. But the writer's room part, that we have something called the graduate writing seminar, and that's in the second year of the program. That's fall and winter back to back, where you're together with the rest of those in your cohort, and you're delivering material, I don't know, maybe even on a weekly basis where you're going to table it and read it and get feedback from the group in that environment. So we run it, it's kind of like a writer's room.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. Got a few questions in the chat. I'll get to those before I get to Chantel, just a second. How many students are admitted to the program each year? Well, we have 12 right now. The maximum, I believe, is 14. So that's pretty much the goal. Anywhere from 12 to 14 is sort of the goal. And let's get to Chantel, and then we'll get to Connor's question in a second. Go ahead, Chantel.
Hi, thanks. I was just wondering if there is any possibility of being admitted without a bachelor's degree. Based
Sorry,
on,
I cut you off.
oh no, I have a 3-year diploma from a performing arts school, and then lived experience. So I'm not sure if that's even a possibility.
I'm not sure. I haven't encountered that yet. Typically for an MFA, you know, an undergraduate at a university is considered the minimal, but my default to that is apply anyway. You know, it's something that we haven't encountered yet. But that said, some applicants may not have that, and some applicants will have that plus comparable experience, and that's another part of the application process is the samples that you provide. So, I mean, even though, you know, that's a good debate, you know, because how do I put this? Like ostensibly, having a university degree, they put you through some kind of academic rigor. A diploma, some institutions, we don't know if that's happened or not. So, but this is an MFA, not necessarily a scholarly research program. So there's some gray areas. And I know that doesn't answer your question entirely, but it would have to be on a case-by-case basis.
Of course, apply anyway. That was the
apply anyway. You know, that's what I would say. Apply anyway. Like there were some applications this past year that did involve things like that, and they would always prompt a discussion amongst the committee. There's 9 people on the committee of admitting people. There's 3 from each school, so we've got, you know, a big committee that looks at things very carefully. So, and they're people who've worked. The great thing is they're people who've worked like me. We've all worked in the business. We know what it's like. We know who we want in the cohort, and we're looking for good raw material. So
excellent. And may I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
For the creative writing piece, is there a preference between stage, film, television, or any sort of script, or would you prefer to see 2 shorter examples as any guidelines?
No, there's really no preference. It depends on the reviewer, and there's more than one person who looks at each file. Like 3 people look at each file. So it doesn't really, no. But I mean, for me, you know, I would say if you've got a longer piece that you're really proud of, that would be the one you put in, because you can see how we've said it, you know, 1 full script, you know, a pilot, TV show, or a film, or some smaller samples is number 2. And the third one is like an outline and an academic paper. So you can see, though, that's kind of the tier of, if there's any kind of preference, I would say, like if you've got a full-blown script that you've written on your own or whatever, that seems to have the most weight.
Okay.
I don't mean weight in terms of getting in or not, but it's a significant accomplishment. And not to say that writing, say, 2 short films is not. So it's hard. Again, it's hard to say. I would say strive to send us something that shows us your ability to write a script from start to finish, even if it's only a 15-minute short or something like that. But if you've got a longer one and you're proud of it, that should be what you lead with.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure. Just going to get to the chat here. We've got Connor asked a question. I think Daniel answered it. Connor asked about the financial information that was given at the last info session. Any way to get advice about finances? And Daniel said a lot of the funding information can be found, and there's a link in the chat for you folks to look at. Thank you, Elaine, for answering the question about when's the deadline. The first consideration deadline is January 18th. Deadline if you're an international student is March 15th. My advice is, oh, and you've corrected it here. Yeah. Cool.
I was like a 2021.
Oh,
no,
I see. Yeah.
2022.
Oh, 2022, just the year's wrong.
So I was
Yeah.
like,
The date's right. The year's wrong.
I corrected myself. Yeah, it's just.
I didn't even pick it up.
Yeah. You want to give
My
some
advice
tips
is-
about, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, you want to make sure you apply early. You want to apply. It's a very competitive program. We had, what, 70 applications last year, and that's our first year. Like, that's
Yes.
crazy. That's a lot of applications for 12 spots. So you want to apply early and you want to apply strongly. Make sure your application is in really good shape. If there's anything missing, we'll let you know. But if you're looking at reference letters, for example, start asking people now. It may take them a month or more to get back to you because people are busy. So get reference letters from people as soon as you can, and apply as soon as you can, even if it's now, like even if it's before or in early December or something like that, a month and a half before January 18th. That's perfect, because we're going to start looking at applications by the end of January. And we're going to, if we find 12 people that are outstanding and, they're the right ones, we're going to pick them and send those offers out as quickly as we can. So that's the
Yeah,
kind of
thank
that.
you. Yeah, that's very important tips. Yeah, you wanted to start an application window just to have there and then prepare your applications for each piece. And then for the references, you want to get started now because, your professors who taught you many years ago might be really busy and also want to learn about which program you're applying to so they can write a good, strong references. And yes, I just want to let everyone know. So Daniel is joining us now. Daniel, do you want to just add a little bit on the financial scholarship and funding? I guess everyone is interested in this topic.
Yes, for sure. Hello, everyone. Sorry, joining a little late, but great to have you guys here. Thank you. In terms of finance and funding and all those different things, so the link that's on the chat, so the Grad Studies website is probably your very first place that you want to check and take a look. Basically, that's sort of like the best list that we have in terms of the university that has all the information for all the scholarships that the university has. So that will be the best place to look. It has internal scholarship, external scholarships, federal, provincial, etc. Now, every scholarship, of course, has different requirements. So you will be the best person to figure out if you actually are eligible for those scholarships based on your background, domestic, international, previous studies, etc., etc. So that's why that'll be the first spot that we would refer you to. Other scholarships like program-specific scholarships. I'm not sure how much Elaine and Mike got talked about it, but your admission applications is usually the application we use for 3 or 4 of the main scholarships. These are the Ryerson Graduate Fellowship, the Ryerson Graduate Development Award, the Ontario Graduate Fellowship. And so those 3 are basically sort of like automatically, as soon as you submit your application, you are considered for those. So you don't have to worry about applying for those. It's just basically your admission application. That's all you need to do. Okay. That's also why it's very, very important that you submit the application by the deadline. So if your application gets there later, we may have already given some of the funding. Simple as that, right? So it's very, very good that you have that. That also applies for big scholarships like the Ontario Graduate Scholarship, which is about $15,000, as well as the Ryerson Graduate Scholarship, which is also $15,000 for both domestic and international. So those, we usually review your admissions application sometime in February, March, calculate GPA for eligibility. If you're eligible, we'll notify you, and then you can just have to fill out a couple forms, send it to us, and that way you can then apply to the, you can submit it to the competition for the scholarship, basically, right? But if you apply late, we don't have your information, therefore we can't calculate your GPA, then we can add you to the scholarship. So, and again, the program Scriptwriting got probably the most OGS and RGS scholarships last year compared to all of the other programs in the faculty. So I don't know if it's a writing thing, maybe, I don't know. But you definitely have an advantage in that one. So definitely keep that going and make sure that you apply for those if we contact you based on your GPA calculations. Okay. Aside from that, the other piece of advice I always like to give is search online, search outside of the university for scholarships. There's a lot of funding out there. It can be in a variety of ways, from contests to companies that like to support based on your research and your background, social status, and a whole bunch of different things. So definitely Google does become your best friend when it comes to finding extra funding. If you had students receive $10,000 for a photo competition, $5,000 for something to do with the research that they actually was the people that were working with to find out to work with the research, and they also sponsor the student to to help with the studies. They gave him an extra $5,000. So those kinds of things are always important. And then of course, don't forget to there's also the options for teaching assistantships, research assistantships, graduate assistantships, a whole bunch of ships are there, as well as the work study positions, or we call it career boost positions here at Ryerson. So all of those are available online. Ryerson.ca/careers. You can actually start looking at those anytime, whenever you have a minute, and we'll put Elaine just put the link on the chat. So those ones are available usually throughout the school year, anytime. So as soon as you get accepted into the program, you become a student, you're able to go online and start applying. And it can be obviously related to the program, but it can be anywhere in the university. So depending on your background, you might have studied, I don't know, social sciences or biology or whatnot. You can apply to different parts of the university for TA-ship or GA-ship as well. It just helps you fund your studies, right? So in terms of funding, these are the most common ways in there. And if you have any questions, by all means, reach out, and I'll pass it back to you, Elaine. Thank you.
Maybe your way.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah. Go ahead, Michael. I think Ethan had.
I just said
right?
thank you. I was just saying thank you, Daniel.
Oh, okay.
So,
Ethan,
yeah.
I think. Oh, okay. Sorry, Ethan. I think you have a question for Michael, right?
Yeah, just while we were talking about the application, I was just wondering, like, either in the script or the reference letters, like, what are some key criteria or things that you look for in those things?
In the script?
Either, yeah, the script or the reference letter, like, what are some of the like criteria or kind of basing like the acceptance on?
Is it well written?
Yeah.
Well, that's a big answer. It depends on the reader a lot of the time. Rest assured, though, that people who are looking at the scripts have written and read many in their careers. So we're looking for you just to be authentic. I mean, to choose a story to tell depends on who the writer is. If she decides that I want to tell a story about my personal experience, great, I want to hear it. If he writes one about something that he feels an audience would gather, go ahead and do it. If they feel like they want to write a story about a past event or a real historical thing, go ahead and do it. The subject matter is kind of not that vital to our decision making. It's the crafting of it. Number one, please keep the typos down. You wouldn't believe how many submissions come in with typos. Have someone who's not you read it and circle them where there's been little typos. And just generally like a sense of how to carry a scene, how to carry a story. It doesn't have to be the best script ever written. Chances are we have read worse. Don't worry. I know I have, even if I never met you, I have read worse in my career. So it's more about professionalism. If it's professionally done, if it's well crafted, that's what we're looking for in the script. As far as a caveat to that, I also say, your voice is important too. Please write, send us something that you really feel is authentic to you, that you get excited about. If you wrote something for hire that you're really excited about, great. But chances are your heart's not in it. It was a job. So something from your heart would be something from your voice is probably the most important thing in terms of subject matter. As far as the reference letters go, we really look for, in terms of who to give you references, at least one academic reference is important. Two is great. But if you've got enough professional experience out there where someone in the profession has worked with you and they can send you a recommendation letter that speaks to your skills and your talents and your ability to get things done and your ability to work independently and focus and write. That's what we're looking for in the reference letters is those key things. Can they write? Are they good to work with? Do they hand things in on time? Can they complete the tasks that are in front of them? And that's the kind of thing we're looking for. Yeah, so does that help answer your question?
Yeah, no, that really does. Thank you.
Great. Oh yeah, we've got Darkus and then Jazine. Yeah, go ahead, Darkus.
Okay, so I heard you say you got like 75 applications, right? And I also remember from the last webinar, you said you didn't have any international students. So was that like because no international student applied, or the international students didn't qualify, or you didn't just take international students because of COVID? Can you hear me?
You're breaking up a little bit. You're
Can
you're
you hear me
frozen, but I
now?
can hear your audio. I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so my question was, you said you got 75, about
Yeah, I
75
heard the question. So I'll,
applications.
yeah. Oh, sorry. You probably can't hear me now because your internet connection is a
Okay.
bit muddled. I can answer the question. We had many applications from international students, and we actually made several offers to international students, and they turned us down. Why did they turn us down? Well, they didn't know what was going to happen in terms of where they're going to be, COVID. So we really wanted to have at least one or two, maybe international students in the cohort, but they were just saying, you know what, I'll wait. I don't know where I'm going to be or how I'm going to get there. So it was very much up in the air for them and their plans. That's the reason why there are no international students in the current cohort.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Jazine.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. I'm good, and you?
Good, thanks. I just had a quick question. I don't know if you would know, but in terms of sort of like the extracurricular activities or groups at Ryerson, like I don't know if there's any chance to, I guess, be a part of, I don't know, some sort of group or collaborate with filmmakers or actors, or I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And when you looked at my sort of long-winded description of where we sit in terms of the creative school, you've got the creative school, I wouldn't say at your disposal, but they are there and you can collaborate with them. And that's what we've kind of grown our faculty into. The creative school is a hub of creativity. This program is just one of many that are involved in it. And there are, when we're allowed to be back together again, there are physical spaces for you to interact with people and work with people that aren't even in your program. There are 3 schools primarily that are involved in this MFA, theater and performance, image arts, and RTA. And you can draw upon the faculty in all those programs. And that's the thing about a master's program. And I would encourage every student to do this when you're paying tuition. You're coming to a university. It's not, I'm going to class and that's it. You're going to class. If you have a question that you want to ask a faculty member in RTA or image arts or the performance school, or we have a new undergraduate program in music, you want to ask these people questions, reach out to them. You're here, you're in the ecosystem. That gives you access. They may say, yeah, my primary thing is this, I'll get back to you, but they will get back to you and you have the ability to spread your wings for sure in here. So are there groups? I know for a fact that the current students have a Facebook group or whatever it's called now, Facebook. So they get together regularly without me and anybody else, but that's just one group. There's also the ability to work with writers in residence that we're going to bring in. We haven't made any announcements yet, but we're close to making one for our first writer in residence. There's also a program advisory council, guest speakers, all kinds of things. We're even going to have nights where we just kind of get together and have what we call at X University salons, which is like basically get together in these spaces and talk about issues that pertain to what we do, our craft, our industry, our scholarship, and our writing. So yeah, there's lots of opportunity to do that. And there's almost, in a way, we actually found that we dialed it back a little bit because students are going, enough, no time, the calendar's populated. And that was a good sign. So
yeah,
there's lots of opportunity for that. Does that help?
Yeah, right on. Thank you so much.
Sure. And all you have to do, like if you look around on the website, and it's sad that we're not there physically yet, but I think in January, the indications are that we are going to be back in person starting in January. It does make things easier when you're walking around campus and you run into people and you see them. It just does. But if you go online now and look digitally, you can see how each school kind of is right there. And there are people you can connect with and contact and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody in professional communication or in a digital media person to talk about this. I want to talk to the professor who's the game design PhD. I want to talk to him about something. Just reach out.
Thank you, Michael. We'll have a question about the number of class hours per week. Do you want to go through a curriculum a little bit?
Sure. I can talk about curriculum. I've got a handy map. So Year one is the fall term right now is the heaviest term. You've got 3 courses: elements of scripted storytelling, script analysis, and research methods. And then every term after that, winter, well, actually not every term. Winter has 2 courses. That's winter of first year. And the spring has only 1 course, which is thesis development. That's not a sit down 3 hours a week course. That's a you and your supervisor working on your project. And that is very loose in terms of its scheduling. In terms of year 2, you've only got 2 courses in the fall, 2 in the winter, and you've got the same thing with the spring term, only this time you're completing your actual thesis. So each of these classes is typically 3 hours. So in the fall term, you can see at the first year, you've got 9 hours of classes, and then you've got typically 6 hours of classes in every semester after that, except for the spring summer. Spring summer, which is May through till end of August, is you writing your project. You don't even have to come to campus if you don't want to, but you will have a supervisor at that point with whom you can meet with and run and go over your project from inception to finished product. That helps. Cool. Other questions down here were, is there an experiential experience component for the program? If so, what's the structure, length, placement options? Can you tell me what you mean by experiential experience? Cecilia.
Hi, nice to meet you guys. Yeah, no, just wondering if there's an experiential experience. So some universities call it experiential experience, other places call it co-op or internship kind of a thing. So is there an opportunity for students to go into places such as different production companies and stuff like that and work with individuals who are in the industry to do a work experience kind of a thing?
We don't formalize that when we don't offer it or require it. So there's really no expectation. I wouldn't say opportunity. I would use the word expectation. There's no expectation for you to do that while you're in the program. Are there opportunities? Sure. Every time a guest speaker comes in, hit them up for a gig. But that's really something that we don't follow up with. We don't make it part of you don't need to graduate with that, nothing. The other part of that is, one of the reasons why we don't do that is because unlike production, when you're in scripted development, everything is confidential. So when I worked at the CBC and Alliance, I would have loved to have an intern, but they would never be allowed to read our scripts because they're basically our IP. And,
that makes sense.
So that's the problem with internships. Yeah, but that's not to say that you can't get in there, because some shows that are greenlit for development, you can get into the writer's room as a script assistant, possibly even as an intern. Some people who graduated from the programs who are supporting this MFA, Performance and Image Arts and RTA, they brought people in an unpaid position to be there. They had to sign an NDA and stuff like that. But
yes.
So it's possible. It's not expected, but it's possible. How about that?
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good questions, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Really good questions. Thank you, Daniel, for asking all the questions in the chat. For international students, for the scholarships, like Daniel mentioned, we have the Ryerson Graduate Scholarships. That's for international students. That's $15,000 for the one academic year. If you want your application to be entered for this competition, you have to submit your application by the first consideration deadline, which is January 18, 2021. And that's why we keep reminding you guys about that deadline. That's the timeline for us to enter your application on your behalf for the competition, because the competition also has a deadline somewhere in March, I believe. So if you miss that deadline, you still can apply to the program, but we missed the window to submit your application for the competition. On top of that, of course, your application has to have meet the minimum requirement, which is A- for the last 2 years of your bachelor degree, in order for us to enter your application for competition. So just want to echo that again.
Yeah.
I'm just going through the questions again in the chat to see whether we miss any questions or we want to add a little bit on some of the questions.
I've often get asked by students because they say, oh, 2 classes a week, I can probably still work full time. Because some master's programs might have, you know, as Maria, who's on the call, I see would be able to attest to, have maybe 4 classes a week, which can be quite a bit. One of the reasons why we have kept the number of class hours per week down is because you're going to be doing a lot of outside of the classroom work, writing, reading each other's work, that kind of stuff. So just a word of caution that don't assume that you can keep a full-time 9 to 5-ish, if those exist anymore, job Monday to Friday. You could work part-time for sure. I think that you could have a part-time job somewhere, but we are going to be in person. So, you know, it's going to be important for you to be nearby. But with work being somewhat remote forevermore and, you know, all that kind of stuff, maybe it's possible to have some kind of part-time job to pay the bills. But be careful of the full-time position because it won't be possible to be successful in the program if you're working that much outside. That said, there are graduate assistantships. I think Elaine mentioned and Daniel mentioned that there are graduate assistantships which pay pretty well. And you can say, for example, let's say someone who's teaching an undergraduate course in script writing or another media related course wants someone to come in and grade some scripts or papers that the students are working on. You could apply for that job and get paid for that work. And it's quite rewarding. Okay, we've got another question. Are there any guidelines for the statement of interest? Not really, but I can tell you what I think it should contain. It should tell the committee who's reviewing your application, or anybody who's reading that letter, what you've done in your life that tells you that this is the right place for you. And I know that sounds like a big, broad, well, that's, you know, that could be anything. Well, the truth is, as you look back on your life and how you got to where you are now, what makes this the right choice for you? An MFA in script writing and story design. And you can think about the reasons why, you know, would be typically like because I love writing, because I love story, because I've been in a program that I wrote scripts in, or I did this on the side, or I did some stand-up. We've actually had people who've applied to the program who've done stand-up comedy. So those kinds of things. I mean, not necessarily stand-up comedy, but that was a rarity. But having that kind of background in your life that says, this is the kind of person that I've done creative work. I'm not just like a movie watcher. I actually am involved in storytelling in some way. It's important, obviously, to know what's out there in terms of film, television, if it's even possible to keep up to date on everything that's out there streaming, but some things. And what you've done in your life that tells you that you're right for this program and you're passionate about it. So we're looking for passion and an indication of the experiences that you've had that make you suited to it, which is the word for that is aptitude, right? Do you have aptitude for this program? Does that help, Naomi? Cool. All right, good questions, folks. I mean, those are the things that people often think about, like, am I writing the correct thing in my letter? Am I saying the wrong thing? But there's really no right or wrong answer to how to write one of those things. It's the wrong way to write it would be if it's too short and just says, I should be in this program because I want to write scripts. Thank you very much. See you in September. And no one would ever do that, right? And no typos. Did I say that already? No typos, please. Ugh, I gotta tell you. Proofread, so important.
I think it's crucially important, yes, because your application is every piece we will put it together to enter for the competition, right? The people in the scholarship community, they're looking at your application again. So typo is no for the application. So you want to make sure that you double, triple check or go through with the professional.
If anyone finds one after they've applied, they're going to go, oh no, I'm doomed. Well, if I find one, it's not going to be the end of the world, but you know.
Yeah, you double, triple check your application and then you can upload your application. But once you submit it, I'm not sure that you can change your mind to reopen the portal and to upload the particular file. So
yeah.
So on my agenda, I planned for 5 minutes break because this is a 1.5 hour session, but I'm going to ask you guys, like, do you want to continue, just have the questions come in, or you guys want to take a 5 minutes break and we will continue and until 3:30. So right now I'm checking the chat. We don't
3
have,
o'clock, yeah.
yeah, we don't have new questions coming.
Yeah, so if anyone, like if you don't have a question now and you say, well, I'm good for today, and you want to say, let's sign off, that's fine. You have my email address. You know how to contact Elaine. And some of you probably written to me and I haven't written back, and I apologize. It's been a hell of a couple of weeks. Pardon my language, but yeah, it's been busy, but I will try and get back to you with answers. So if you have an individual question that you think of after the call, you can reach out to us and let us know. Maria's got a question. Hi, Maria. How are you?
Hey, Michael. I'm fine. So I guess it's on the similar lines to a couple of the other questions. So I'm just finishing my master's of media production at my age. I'm really excited about that. And I have a ton of experience in the industry, but not in script writing.
Mhm.
So I've done some outlines and various other things for my MA within the media production. Is that material okay to submit along with any short stories that I may have written?
Yep.
I mean, it's a desperately new venture for me to move into script writing. So I wouldn't have a lot of material to be able to submit, but I do check my spelling and my typos.
That's perfect. Yes, important. So important.
I'm very dyslexic, so believe me, I have to check it. It's something I have to do.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you for that. But yeah, I mean, with a background like yours, and you and I spoken before, you know, you've got a storytelling background. You produced stories for the screen multiple times over, and one of the sort of categories of things you could submit are outlines and short narratives and things like that, which includes a short story. So definitely that's something that you could submit with and have it be considered along with everyone else. Scripts, it's great to see a script. It's great to see a script in script format on the page. If you have anything like that, wonderful. If you don't, and not everyone who applied, and I don't know, and I don't have a percentage, but not every single person that applied had that. In fact, a certain percentage of them didn't have actual script pages because maybe they didn't have them, or maybe they felt a little bit reticent to hand them in because they didn't think they were ready yet. And in that case, I said, well, do you have a really strong something else? And they said, I do. And I said, well, send that in. So yeah, we're looking for, I mean, the combination of factors, right? Your background, Maria, you've got a master's degree in media production, and now you're submitting creative work. You know, it's the whole package that we look at.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, great.
Sure. Yeah. That goes for everybody as well, too. I mean, Maria has a lot of experience in the industry. If you have a little or somewhat, that's still important to us. Very few of our applicants have as much experience as someone, you know, who's worked for many years in the business. Don't be put off by that or feel like, oh no, I'm not in that category. You certainly are. It's not about that. It's about the whole person, and it's about so don't feel shy if you think, well, you know, I kind of worked on as a PA on this project for a while, or did this. It shows us aptitude. It shows us that you are interested in this business, and you worked in this business, and you understand. You're a bit conversant in it as well. So, okay. Yeah, that goes for everyone.
Thank you, Michael. Great questions. So
Yeah,
I
great
just
questions, folks.
yeah, just want to remind everyone, now is your chance, opportunity to ask questions because Michael is here. Now is your time to ask questions about every piece of the application. For example, your resume, your statement of interest, some of the students asked already, or samples of work, or any questions about the pieces of the application. This is your opportunity to ask questions directly.
Jazine has one.
Hey, yeah, thank you so much, Elaine, for reminding me of my own question. For the resume, do you want a combination of like professional work, or I guess a combination of professional work and projects, I suppose, because there's a lot of things I have worked on, like productions, videos online, sort of like a portfolio, but I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for, if you're just looking for like a regular written CV, or would you prefer links, or yeah, just.
Oh, I think that's a great question. Links are great. I mean, you know, if you describe, like when you say a combination of things, I certainly do want to see what you've done, the chronology of your professional life up till now. School is important to put in there, where you were and when, and what you got out of it in terms of the degree or a diploma or something. And then also what you worked on professionally. And, you know, if it's like online video or something, you say, and if you want to watch it, here's the link. Absolutely, that helps. So it's really just, even though you hear so many times, keep that resume short as possible. You know, I'm not gonna, like, if it's more than a page, I expect more than a page. You know, like some people do a nice one pager and it looks great and they can fit everything onto a page. It's wonderful. But if you're getting into 2 pages, 2.5 pages, don't feel terrible. You know, I do want to see what you've done in terms of work, even if it's been professional or for yourself or something like that.
Okay, great. So like a freelance style resume, or like a combination of like directing and editing work, like that's all fine to throw in. You're not.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, I like if you don't have a lot of work in the scripted area of the industry, then join the club, number one, because having a career as a writer in this country and in North America in particular is hard to do over many years. I don't know very many writers who sustain, this is not very good for my pitch, who sustain themselves as writers for 30 years. You know, it's very rare to have that. They do other things. You know, they work on, the work is entrepreneurial, as you know. So if you say over the last 10 years, I've written on a couple things, or you've written a few things yourself, and you think, is that enough? It's not about that. It's if you feel like you've done other things in the profession, then put those in. Most of my career was in creative development. So I was the story editor / development greenlight executive person, working with writers, contributing, but not the main writer on projects. And you know, those kinds of things are considered to be, it has a lot of weight. So what I'm saying is, yeah, don't exclude things that are related because they're not directly scripting.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Arsenia, hello, has a question.
Hi.
Gotta say that, Asenia?
Asenia, yeah.
Asenia.
I was just wondering if your background is in one area of writing and your writing sample is in that same area, but you're interested in doing like a project in a different area, like say your background's in theater, but you want to do a screenplay. Would that make sense, or would it make more sense to just pitch something that's a theater project?
You should pitch whatever you want to do. We've got at least, I don't know, maybe not quite half, but maybe half of the students in the current cohort are saying, I got a background in this, or I've written in this area. I want to write in this area now. So in fact, that's almost expected. We've got one student who's been in theater for 10 years and he's like, I don't know how to write a TV show or a film. So I'd like to learn that.
All right, excellent.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Definitely. Yeah. In fact, and the truth is, your project, like when you pitch your project, what you want to do over the next 2 years, we look at that, you know, like that's a good start, but you may change your mind after your first semester. And that is totally fine and almost somewhat expected in some cases for people to evolve their project idea. So you're not stuck with what you pitched in your application.
Great.
Yeah, we just want to see that you've got an idea of something, and we all know that may not be the thing that you do, but it's nice to see that you're thinking about a project of that magnitude.
Great questions. Yeah, that last question actually reminded me. I often receive a lot of questions about, oh, I submitted a sample of work. It's this, but then my statement of interest is talking about something else. So I often have to refer back to the website, say, if you submit a sample of work, that sample of work should be related to the thesis that you intended to do. And then you should mention that or identify that in the statements of interest. That's the question that I often receive. So just want to bring that up.
Yeah, and I would say don't feel like if you've written your statement of interest based on work you've done in one area or two areas, but you're pitching it in a third, or whether like you're pitching in something else, that's in any way hurts your application. It doesn't hurt it at all. In fact, I'm glad, like, it's good for you to say that, because it shows us that you're striving for new knowledge or something. And that said, if you don't want to move into another realm, that you want to learn how to write for the stage, and you primarily write in television, and you want to continue writing in television because you want to write a pilot in the program, that's fine. We don't really judge applications on that merit. We judge them on your passion, what you've done. Do you have aptitude for this program? Do we think you'll be successful? What's your background? Those kinds of things.
Thank you, Michael. For international applicants, ideally we're going to have like 1 or 2 spots maximum, right, Michael, for the new cohort?
That's right.
Yeah, so for international applicants, that's very competitive. The program itself is very competitive, but for international students, because we only have 1 or possibly 2 spots, so it's even more competitive for international students.
It's true, yeah. Any other questions, folks? Been great questions in this session. I really appreciate it.
No, I would just say, I just wanted to say thank you for this really valuable information. I'm going to sign off, but I really appreciate it, and I'm going to start putting my submission together. So thanks,
Maria.
Eric. And Daniel, thank you so much as well. Cheers.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
Yeah, we're 6 weeks. We're halfway in through the first semester, and I can tell you it's going really well so far. It's funny because this project's been in the works for 10 years or more, and to see it actually up and running, even though it took a lot of doing, and I wasn't, my timelines were a little bit delayed because it's the first time for everything. We hit the ground running in September, and I check in with the students on a regular basis, and everybody seem happy. And if they weren't, they'd tell me. It's good that we have that kind of relationship. It's a nice size group. 12 to 14 students is a really great size group. The great thing is, once we get full steady state in the program, we start with a new cohort next fall. If you get into the program, you'll have the ones who are entering their second year to work with and draw upon as well. So we'll have like 24 to 28 students in the program, just in different timing streams. Yeah. All right.
All right, we have about 18 minutes. Maybe something that we want to mention from admission side. Daniel, please remind me. I kind of think we include everything or covered every area already, or we just repeating ourselves.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Might be looking for ways to fill the time. So if anyone doesn't have any, if anyone's got a last question, please let me know. If not, you can always contact us through the usual methods and ask us questions in the coming weeks and months as you put your applications together. All right. You're welcome, Ethan and Dolly, Naomi, all of you. Okay, well, yeah. Getting all the chat thanks. Chat thanks coming through. Be nice if we can say this in person. Huh? I had an in-person class 2 weeks ago. It was fantastic. We had a space on campus, and we were all there in one room, and it was we went past the 3 hours because we were just so excited to be together.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's exciting to get back in class for the winter.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just get that hallway discussion.
Oh yeah, I mean,
back.
the place has just been dead. The RCC, the Rogers Communication Center, has been just dead for a year, and then over the summer it got more people. You could see I was going in every now and again, and going more regularly now in the fall, every week or so, 2 weeks, and just see more people. It's like, it's happening. It's finally happening. So we're very happy. All right. Well, thank you so much, Elaine and Daniel, for Elaine for putting this together, and Daniel as well, and for being here and giving all your valuable information and all your hard work. I really appreciate it. Can't do it without them. All right, folks, thank you so much. We will hopefully see you again in the near future.
The Creative School.